Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's Last Post ceremony. My name is Joanne Smedley, and joining us today from the Royal Australian Air Force is leading aircraft woman Monica Verma. We warmly welcome the family of Flight Sergeant Gordon Reid Ferguson, whose story will be told shortly. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that support them. We acknowledge the members of RSL Services Clubs Association, RSL Victoria, and RSL Queensland, who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by family and visitors to the memorial. Please stand and join in the singing of the national anthem. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 102,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Flight Sergeant Gordon Reid Ferguson. Gordon Reid Ferguson was born on the 16th of December 1918 in the Sydney suburb of Belmore, the youngest of three boys born to William and Louisa Ferguson. Gordon attended Belmore Junior Technical Trade School, Ultimo Technical Trade School, and Sydney Technical Boys High School, where he excelled at drawing, woodwork, and metalwork. After school, he worked as a clerk, motor mechanic, and motorcycle salesman. He was a keen sportsman and enjoyed football, ice hockey, tennis, shooting, swimming, running, motorbike riding, and cycling. Ferguson also served in a local military force from 1939 to 1940, serving as a dispatch rider with the 1st Cavalry Division Signals in Sydney. On the 14th of October 1940, Ferguson enlisted in the Royal Australian Air Force. His two brothers, Jack and Herbert, also served in the Royal Australian Air Force during the war. Following initial training in Australia, in late 1940, Ferguson travelled to Canada, where he participated in the Empire Air Training Scheme. This was a joint British and Dominion program designed to ensure that enough trained airmen were available to keep up with the demand for the war in Europe and North Africa. On the 23rd of June, 1941, he attained his Air Gunner's Badge, and the following month transferred to England for final training and posting into a Royal Air Force unit. On the 23rd of December, he was promoted to the rank of Flight Sergeant. In early May 1942, Ferguson joined RAF No. 148 Squadron, which was based at the Cabret base near the Suez Canal in Egypt. No. 148 Squadron flew twin-engine Vickers Wellington long-range medium bombers in support of the British 8th Army in the desert of North Africa. The 8th Army was fighting German Erwin Rommel's Afrika Korps as they advanced east towards El Alamein. On the 22nd of June, 1942, Ferguson's aircraft was sighted attacking German targets near Benghazi when it came under heavy enemy flak fire and burst into flames. The aircraft made a controlled descent to an altitude of 2,000 feet before suddenly falling to the ground and exploding upon impact. Ferguson was originally reported as missing in air operations, but was later officially presumed to have been killed on that day. He was 23 years old. In a further tragedy for the Ferguson family, Gordon's older brother Herbert, who signed up after Gordon's death, was killed in May 1944 while conducting air operations over France. On the three Ferguson brothers who served for Australia in the Second World War, only the eldest, Jack, would ever return home. Gordon Ferguson's name is listed on the Alamein Memorial in Egypt, which commemorates the names of nearly 12,000 British and Commonwealth servicemen who died fighting in the Second World War. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at Australian War Memorial. We now remember Flight Sergeant Gordon Reid Ferguson, who gave his life for us, for our freedom, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them.
Lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Poziere, in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. We thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial and wish you all a very good evening.